The kids will have a lot of fun at screening. But this is so if you don't want to, tie them down to the couch and hold them down for this event, it's going to be fine. But if you have your children next to you, you do get to meet the kindergarten teachers, and they've got a quick video introducing themselves to you. So Mr. Neely, if you would, please.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Basden.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Brzezina.
Hey there, I'm Mrs. Kramer.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Sanders.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Lane.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Kopp.
Welcome to kindergarten!
Nice.
A couple of housekeeping items before we get started tonight. If you don't mind leaving your mute on so that we don't have any interference in the background. There will be times that I will be stopping through the presentation to allow you time to ask questions. And as far as asking questions, at that time, you're welcome to unmute and ask your questions, okay? So after each segment, we'll get there. So welcome. We will go over some of these things much more in depth when you bring your child to kindergarten screening. But just to put things in the back of your mind and things that you need to be aware of, your children's self-help skills when they come to kindergarten. So if they haven't started working on some of these things, it's imperative that you start working on that with them. That they manage their clothes independently. That means that, when they go to the bathroom, can they unbutton and button their Levi's and zip up? Can they put their coat on and zip their coat up? So managing clothes independently. Using the restroom without assistance. We are not a preschool. We are not allowed to wipe children. We are not allowed to clean them. If they have an accident, we'll give them wipes if they are somewhat independent, but otherwise you may have to be called in order to clean your child up and bring them a change of clothes. Every year, we always have somebody who comes in and they're sitting in their bathroom and they're screaming, "I need help." And we're like, "We can't help you. I'm sorry." So if you don't mind working with your child on wiping themselves independently, that would be very helpful. Learning how to tie their shoes or wear Velcro shoes. And if you're packing their lunch, or even if you're not packing their lunch, have them practice learning how to open potato chip bags or fruit cups or Go-Gurts or Ziploc baggies. Those require a lot of fine motor skills that take a little time to develop. So giving them some things to open and showing them how to open a bag of chips is huge. A lot of the kids really don't understand, you grab one side, you grab the other side and you pull. So being able to help them with those kind of skills. And then if they are not comfortable wearing a mask, I don't know where we're going to be at the beginning of next year. So if they are not comfortable wearing a mask, practice having them wear a mask and keeping it on for stretches throughout the day. Our teachers do give the kids mask breaks, and they do not have to wear them at recess or at gym. But they do have to wear them when they are inside the building. So keep that in mind as we move into the school year. Okay, so readiness skills. When you're thinking about these things, and again, we will go over these in a lot of depth, so don't worry about writing everything down. When you come in for kindergarten screening, we will talk a lot about these. But if you have questions after we go through some of these, please don't hesitate to ask. So it's not just writing their name. It's being able to recognize their name. And so once you have worked with them to learn how to write their name, Then I would start putting two names together, like Carson and Katie on that sheet, and say, which one is your name? Where's Katie? And then when they've got that, I'd add some that look a whole lot like theirs. So like Kathy and Cameron, they both start with the K-A, and Kathy's got the T's. So being able to recognize their name as well, and to know the letters that are in their name. When they spell them, they should be able to say K, A, T, I, E as they form the letters. And that might seem like a really small thing, but it helps us get started much faster when we aren't having to have students learn how to write their name or find their name. That fabulous whiteboard, you will be getting one of those for your child when you come for kindergarten screening. All right, some other readiness skills is letter recognition. So when you think about letter recognition, parents, it isn't them being able to sing the ABCs. It's about the children being able to recognize the letters out of order, and showing them if it's a B. Do they recognize that that's a B? Beginning sounds. So working with them to learn beginning sounds would be something. Oh, letter recognition. I mean, if you take your kids to the grocery store, or you have a pantry, or, things like that, say, we're working on the letter P this week. Go find as many items as you can in the kitchen that start with the letter P, and let them find things that begin with P, popcorn and peanuts and things like that. Beginning sounds are kind of the same way. So beginning sounds means the first sound in a word. So if your word is bug, to get your children to be able to hear that beginning sound, you want to overemphasize the first sound. Bug, buh. You hear the buh at the beginning of bug. What other things do you hear that start with buh, buh, buh? And if they make up words, yes, that's fine. Make up words. Let them do nonsense words. Or find things in the house that start with the buh, buh, buh sound. So those are two big skills for our children. Hearing and making rhyming words, real or pretend. Orange does not have a rhyme that goes with it. So if you use the word orange and you say, tell me a word that rhymes with orange, if they say borange, it is correct. We don't care if the words are real or pretend. If they can rhyme, that is a skill that they need. Another thing that you can do is read rhyming books. Some of the Old Mother Goose books, though the stories, the history behind some of the stories might be frightening, they do rhyme. And there's a lot of great children's books out there now that have rhyming words. And then pointing them out when you hear them. Number recognition, 0 to 10, just like when you are with letters, take them out of order. Can they recognize that that's a 9? Can they recognize that that's an 8? Counting objects. So for lunch today, we're going to have cheese and crackers and bologna. Let's see, how many crackers do we have? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and do it together and give them some modeling of what that looks like. And then as they get better, let them work on it on their own. Basic shapes and colors: triangles, square, circle, oval, diamond, star, heart, and then the colors, the basic colors. They don't need to know what turquoise is or anything like that. Blue, brown, black, green, white, yellow, red, orange. Fine motor skills. Those are all those skills that it takes to have good handwriting, to be able to cut things, to be able to manipulate items in your hand. So the way you can build those is with Play-Doh. playing a lot of Play-Doh, allowing your children to cut. Go to the dollar store and buy a pack of construction paper, because that is harder to cut than regular paper, and get some scissors and just let them start cutting. Make sure they know that they aren't allowed to cut their hair. Otherwise you'll have kindergarten bangs, which I had in my childhood and my children's childhood. And they can't cut their clothes. That's important, because when they come to school, sometimes people's hair or their clothes get cut either by the child themselves or the one that's sitting next to them. So I don't want to freak anybody out, but I mean, kids are kids, and it sometimes happens. And social skills, using manners, please and thank you. Being able to share toys, being able to indicate what they need. So I need to go to the bathroom. I want a drink of water. I am getting hungry for lunch. I need to move. He's bothering me. She's bothering me. Those kind of things. They need to be able to have those social pieces to be successful in kindergarten. I know I went through all of these really fast. I will make sure that there is much more time spent on them when you bring your child to kindergarten screening. And we have tools for you to take with you that will help you help your child with all of these things. So if you're not sure how to proceed with things, that's okay, because we're going to help you. Okay. Any questions? You can unmute and ask. All right, moving right along. We have our next thing is how to register your child for kindergarten. That is the first step you're going to need. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and allow Mrs. Ryerson, our secretary, to share her screen if I can figure out how to do it.
Would you actually mind leaving yours up for the next couple slides? Would that work? Okay. I'm Suzanne Ryerson, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the documentation that we require for kindergarten enrollment. So here's a list of what we will need. The original birth certificate for the child. If you could just, well, actually all these items, if you could bring them to the elementary office. Some of them, like the immunizations and stuff, I know it might take a little bit of time. But the next 2 weeks, starting next Monday, if you want to bring them into the office during those hours listed, and then on the 29th, we'll have later hours till 7 p.m. But the first item is the birth certificate for the child. We also need a proof of residency, like a signed lease or deed or something showing your current address. And there are other items that will work as well, like a utility bill or something like that. And we'll just make a copy of that. We also need a notarized residence statement, which we have those forms here in the office. And if you just want to come in and bring in your driver's license, I can notarize it for you. That just says that you live at an address in our district, and you'll have to, note that address there in your student's name. Immunization records and a physical, we have a yellow form for that, so I'm sure Nurse Thompson will talk about that. But we will also need that with a physical completed within the year prior to the first day of kindergarten. And if there are any special ed or 504 documents, we would want copies of those as well. We'll make a copy of your driver's license for the file, and also if there are custody papers, we need to have a copy of those. So if you want to come into the office anytime on those dates listed below, that would be great. We will go ahead and get your child's file started, and And obviously, if we have missing items, then it's going to result in delays in them starting kindergarten. So if you want to go to the next slide, this is just a picture of the resident statement, which you would just fill out with your name at the top and your student's name, and then your address there where it says reside at. And then you can wait to sign it until you're here, or you can just fill out the whole form here. I'll give you a copy here, and then I'll date it and notarize it. On the back of that form, it shows you a list of items that will work for your proof of residency. So any of those items will work for that. The next item I want to talk about is online registration. We just started this last year. So we are excited to be able to have a lot of these forms online, and this information just gets imported directly into PowerSchool. So the information that you're putting in there is what we're going to have as far as contacts, and people that you want to be able to pick up your child, or if you want to have someone on the list to call if we can't reach you. All of that information you're going to be putting in on this website. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to try to screen share here to show you where it is. This kind of shows you on the screenshot, but okay.
Would it help if I stopped sharing, Mrs. Ryerson?
I think you are good. I think it'll let me
Take over? Perfect.
Yeah. Can you see
Yes.
the Milton-Union website? Okay, so this is just the district website at muschools.com. And you are welcome, parents are welcome to go ahead and do this at any time after this call. If you want to go on and go ahead and register your student online, that would be great. You'll just go over here to schools and go to elementary school. And then over here, you'll just hover over parent links and then go down to kindergarten registration 2021-22. Okay, and then that will bring you here. I already have an account because I have students here. So if you have a student in our district already, you can just sign in, and I'll show you what that looks like. Otherwise, you'd create a new account over here. So if you already have a student here, it'll show your students here. You would add your kindergarten student right here and click add. Okay, and then this is what it's going to look like. I'm just going to walk through it real quick. Oh, I think it's because I was logged in under my personal account. Okay, let me pull this up. Well,
Ms. Ryerson, let me see if I can get it up real quick and I might be able to share it.
okay. Yeah, this hasn't happened before. I'm not sure. You know what? I think it's because I just, hold on a second. I didn't log out of mine. Is that why?
Probably.
Okay.
I have it up if you want to switch.
Okay. I might need you to. Well, Oh, I don't know why it's doing that.
Okay, I think everybody can see it now from my computer.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so you'll just move through this and click next. And all of this information, you want to make sure your student's name is the name on the birth certificate, their official name. And yeah, up there at the top, you can just put no. Since they're a kindergartner, you can put no, they've never attended before. And then you'll put their name on the birth certificate, mother's maiden name, grade is kindergarten, kindergarten experience. Yeah, probably most will be never attended, but if not, you can do that. The elementary school. The 4-digit PIN here is just a number that we're going to use if you need to change any information. If you call the office and say someone else is going to pick your student up today, we're going to ask you for this 4-digit PIN. So yeah, definitely keep it private. The next, that box is for open enrolled. So if you are living outside of the district, you would need to do an open enrollment application, and you could just check that there to let us know. The student's birthday, gender, place of birth, city and state, US citizen, previous school district. I think that one you're going to just put never attended, or what does it say? Kindergarten first enrollment, I think, is what you're going to select right there for previous school district. And then those other items, if they're special education or if they're an exchange student or homeless, and then you can note that. I don't know that any of your kindergartners are going to have a cell phone, so you can ignore that. And then this is going to be your address and county. You can select if you rent or own, and then select if the mailing address is going to be the same as the residential address. You can hit next. You can select this information on race and ethnicity. And then under language, this is really just if English is a second language, you would select appropriately. And then most of this information is going to be English probably, but you feel free to select the appropriate one. And there's some information on if they've been educated outside of the US and all of that. You go down to special programs. You would note here if your child is gifted or if they have a 504 plan or an IEP. And you can hit next. This is just information on military, and then custody, if you could select the right information there. And then if there is a custody arrangement, if you could upload any court documents there, that would be awesome. And then you can also put who the child is living with. So then the rest of the information below that is going to be the contacts. So you'll want to put in anybody that you want to be able to pick up your child from school or to be contacted by the teacher or the nurse. And you'll get a chance later on to list the order in which you want these contacts to be called. So yeah, for each person, you'll put if they have custody, what type of contact it is, and if they're allowed to pick up your student from school. This is really talking about if they can pick them up early from school, they'd come into the office and they'd have to show their ID. So make sure when you're putting names here, you are putting the person's legal name, because we're going to compare that to their driver's license or ID if they come into the office and need to take the student home. So I believe you can put in up to 10 contacts if you would like. You can select, which phone numbers are preferred. And it'd be great if you can also give us an email address. Definitely using email more. So I think that is it for contacts. If you go to the next screen, you'll be able to decide what order you would like them to be placed in, the order of importance, order of who's going to get contacted first if we would need to contact someone for the student. You can go on to the next. This emergency medical authorization is really just granting medical consent in the event that a parent or guardian cannot be reached. So we're always going to try to contact you first, but in the event that we can't get a hold of anybody and it's an emergency, we're just asking you for information on the preferred doctor and hospital and dentist and specialist. So if you could give us that information, that would be great, and we will make sure that gets to the nurse. There's also some health history questions you can answer about the student. And I believe, the next page is prescriptions. So you can, if you want to give us any prescriptions your child is taking, that would be great. But if they're going to need to take a prescription at school, there's going to be a form that you're going to have to fill out, and the doctor's going to have to fill out as well. The next section is on transportation. So we just would like you to let us know if in the morning and in the afternoon, is your child going to be a walker or parent transport, like a car rider or a bus rider. So if the student's going to be a bus rider, if you could give us the address that they're going to be picked up from, if it's going to be your home address or if it's going to be a babysitter's address or something, you can just type all that information there, and we will get working on the bus routes and getting all that organized so we can get that information to you. And then there are also emergency closing instructions, which have you select how you would like your child to be dismissed if there was an unplanned early release. So if it should be their normal dismissal instructions, or if they're going to get picked up by a parent or walk home, if you could just let us know, that would be great. The next page is agreements. So there's the internet agreement and directory information, which you just need to notify the office, the central office, if you don't want to be included in directory information, or if you don't want the student to be included. There's field trip permission and media permission, and then the district and parent student handbooks. So grades K through 5 is the first option there. So that's the one you'll want to sign or agree to.
We might just mention here that the handbooks, they can download the handbooks and look at them, but obviously they're this year's handbooks, not next year's handbooks yet. Those will be written and published and then added to the website when they become available, which is usually, I believe, late spring, early summertime.
Okay. And then the next page is the signatures. So you'll just need to sign and date, or type your name in there and date. And then when you go to the summary, it will show you if there's any missing or incomplete information. And you'll be able to go back and correct that and update it. And then when you have all the green check marks, you can submit. And it will come to us. And we can import that right into PowerSchool. So it's definitely a great tool to have. So I definitely contact me if you have any questions, and I can get in there and see what's going on if you're having an issue. And if I can't help you, then Mr. Neely will, he can fix everything. So, and this is something that you'll use too every year. You'll want to save your account information because you'll need to do returning student registration every year for your students. So if any information changes, you'd be able to update it at that point. I think that is all I have.
All right, Mrs. Ryerson, do you have, or does anyone have any questions for Mrs. Ryerson?
When was the registration due again?
It will be, I don't know. That's a good question. It's as soon as you can get it done, that would be great.
Okay.
But you know, by the end of this school year would be great, so we can get things organized.
And we do have kindergarten screening before our school year actually is over. And if you could have the registration completed by then, it would, or at least the online portion, that will help us immensely to get your child registered and get some a slot for them for kindergarten screening. So sooner the better.
I have another question.
Sure.
So our son is in kindergarten now, and then we're going to enroll our daughter. So do we need to have the online registration done before we come in with all the, like our driver's license and birth certificate and all that?
Mrs. Ryerson?
Do you need to have it done before you come in? No, you can come in and bring in the documents anytime in the next 2 weeks. But yeah, as soon as you can get the online registration done, that would be great. So we could, yeah, have all the information together in the file. Yeah, that would be awesome.
And if you don't have access to a computer or a device that you can use, that, I mean, it's going to be pretty tedious on a phone. You could do it on a phone, but it would be pretty tedious. If you would like to come in and use a computer, or you need help filling out the form, you have questions, we do have some computers that you could use here at school in the office to fill the form out. So don't hesitate to ask for that kind of help if you need it, or, you know, a device to actually fill it out on. So we're here to help.
Okay. And did you say when the screening was? I apologize. I was a few minutes late logging on.
We haven't yet, but it's coming up at the end, I promise.
Okay.
I promise. I know everybody wants to get to that.
I have a question about open enrollment.
Yes.
Do the open enrollment forms need to be filled out and accepted by the administration before we register and do screening?
No, they do not. We can get you registered, and when you come in, even if you haven't brought out all your paperwork in, when you come in for kindergarten screening, or when you come in for kindergarten screening or to bring your registration paperwork, we will give you an open enrollment form. You can also, there's one available online on the website.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
I do have a question.
Sure.
My daughter was born out of state, and we currently do not have her birth certificate. So we do have to order it through the mail, and it could take up to 45 plus days. I know one of your requirements is that you need her birth certificate. How timely do you need that to complete the registration?
Before school starts.
Yeah.
Okay. Of this coming fall, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's all that I needed. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? All right, moving on. Our nurse, Mrs. Thompson, is going to talk about medical I can't say it, but she's going to talk about it, requirements for kindergarten, and immunizations and physicals and all that good stuff. So I'm going to let Mrs. Thompson take over.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me, Loretta? Okay. Mr. Neely, can you put on the slide, there should be a yellow physical form. Can you put that on the screen for them to see?
Actually, Mrs. Henderson has those. Can you make your slideshow again, Mrs. Henderson? If I need to, I can bring it up.
Aha, there it is. Thank you. So this is the form that will be in your kindergarten registration packet that has to be completed. We'd like you to have that turned in, please, by August 13th. That way it gives me time to look through these and make sure everyone is up to date on everything that's required. There is a shot section there at the very top. Those are the required shots to start kindergarten. And those need to be, you can put those dates in there if you have them, or your physician can fill them out. Many physicians use an electronic record now, and if yours does and they would just want to give you a printed record, that's completely fine. Just attach it to that sheet. Then in the middle section has different areas to put any medical conditions. If your child has an allergy or a seizure disorder or diabetes or asthma or something that I need to be a little more aware of, please reach out to me like the week before school starts so we can touch base and talk about their plan of care and what we need to do for that. And then this form does have to be completed by a physician or nurse practitioner. You can go to any of the little clinics or minute clinics around Troy or anywhere in the area, and those people can do a physical as well if you don't have a primary care physician. These forms absolutely have to be turned in before the first day of school, or your child may not come to school. So if you send your child and I don't have this yellow form, I will be calling you to come pick up your child. So please get that completed. Also, doctor's offices and health departments get very booked up in August. So I would encourage you, if you don't already have an appointment, be calling your physician and getting an appointment scheduled. This does have to be, the physical has to be within 1 year of the first day of school. So if your child already went for their 5-year checkup or 6-year checkup, last month, then your doctor can complete this form based on that information and then just turn the form in that way. Shots, like I said, are listed there. Your child has to have these shots that are on the form. I know this kind of sounds like foreign language to most of you, but your physician knows what you need also. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly also for that. Another thing, I think that's it as far as the form goes. Just a few general things. Every kindergartner will have a vision and hearing screening sometime during their kindergarten year. I'm not sure if those will be at the screening this year or in the fall. They also get one in every odd grade all the way through 11th grade. So you will only hear from me if there's something abnormal with their vision or hearing screening, but just so you know, your child will have those all the way through school. General illness rules with COVID, it has been completely different than normal. I'm going to go over real quick the normal things. I don't know what the guidelines will be for the fall. As far as COVID, the normal illness rules are they must stay home if they have a temperature 100 degrees or higher. They have to be fever-free without medications for 24 hours before coming back to school. The same goes for vomiting and diarrhea. Sometimes if they have a rash that seems kind of odd or not a common rash, I will sometimes send them home for that as well. And Mrs. Henderson already talked about the potty training issue. The kids will usually come to the clinic, but we cannot help them. So please either send in a change of clothing to keep in their locker, but we cannot help them with any hygiene care. So please make sure that's taken care of before they come. Injuries at school, I will call you if they have a head injury or, even bump their head of any sort. Or if it's kind of a major, they fall and hurt their wrist or ankle and it seems okay, I just like to let you know in case they aren't feeling well when they get home or the next day if it's still hurting. I don't call you for every little minor thing. If it's a scrape or, they bump something, I typically don't call unless I think a parent needs to know right away. And Mrs. Ryerson talked about the consent for emergency treatment. We get a lot of confusing answers on that. If you put that we cannot contact emergency services, it kind of ties our hand if your child has a bad injury. We will always call you first. We'll actually call you and everyone on your list first. The office is typically doing that while the nurses are handling an injury. So I really encourage you to put yes, that we can treat. The emergency squad would also try to reach out, if we're not able to reach you, but odds are we're going to reach one of you, but we don't want to be in a situation where someone really needs something and we can't do anything to help them. As far as medications, I know there's an area on the registration form you can put in what medications they take at home. That way we can look at that in case someone needs to know or wants to know. And as far as any medications at school, there's a separate form that has to be completed for any medication. We don't give anything, Tylenol, ibuprofen, nothing at all to children without a medication form completed that has to be filled out by the physician or a nurse practitioner and signed by them and signed by the parent. And the medication must be brought in by the parent. So if you have a kid who needs, a daily medication with their lunch, please reach out to me towards the beginning of the school year and we can handle that. It is on the school website under forms, and then you can go to, I think it says health or clinic, and there's a medication form there, or you can pick one up in the office if that's easier for you as well. The COVID guidelines, I'm kind of guessing we're going to have the similar rules for the fall, and they are very strict as far as illness at school. And it's basically if you have a fever over 100 and other symptoms, then you have to go home and have a note to return. So we'll just we'll provide information once we know what the school guidelines are for fall, but just be aware they are a lot more stringent than our normal guidelines. Trying to think if anything else. That's all I have written, I guess. Does anybody have any questions, or Mrs. Henderson, can you think of anything that I missed?
I don't, but I would say, I would reemphasize what Mrs. Thompson said about making sure that we have the ability to call the emergency squad if we have to. If your child, for whatever reason, has an allergic reaction to something that you may not even know they're allergic to, and they start showing signs of anaphylaxis, which means they can't breathe, not being able to transport them to a hospital to get emergency treatment is scary. So
yes,
I encourage you to just make sure that box is checked, that yes, if it's an emergency, please get my kid where they need to be.
Correct.
If you have questions, please feel free to unmute at this point in time and ask Mrs. Thompson questions.
If we've enrolled our kids for if we already have a student that is going there currently, but they're actually being online learned through PLP, would we need to refill out something like that for them to return to school in the fall, if that's the case?
Yes, we will be opening up returning student registration, but it probably won't be till the beginning of June. So we will definitely get that information out to you when we are ready for you to do that for your students that are currently attending.
It'll be the same forms though. So like if we needed to update anything on that health form for the nurse, we would be able to do it then?
Yes, definitely. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we, you said the physical forms, we pick those up in the office?
Yes. Mrs. Ryerson, are they going out with the kindergarten packet when they come and sign up, correct?
Yeah, I was going to, oh, it just got dark in here. I was going to have that pass them out when you come in to drop off the documents that we need, the birth certificate and the residency forms and all that stuff. So I will get you one then. And if for some reason I don't see you before screening, we'll have them available then too. But
all right, thank you.
Definitely.
Anybody else have any questions?
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
The dates in April where we're supposed to bring the documents, drop them off. I currently do not live in Milton.
Okay.
I will be moving back to my childhood home sometime this summer. So by the time I need to do the documents, like my driver's license obviously isn't going to be correct. I'm not going to have anything that has my name technically attached to the address.
Mm-hmm.
So how would we do that?
So you would, you can still do the notarized residence statement with your driver's license, no matter what the address is. I'm just notarizing that it's you.
Okay.
But you could do a sworn notarized statement from the landlord or person who has, who owns the property that you're going to be living at.
Okay.
So if they could just, I can do that for you too, if you want to bring that person in and we can type up a statement, they can sign it, I can notarize it, and that will work as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I have a quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm just trying to get this.
I think you hit mute again. You're muted.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, my phone
Now I
tends to
can
do
hear
that. Sorry about that. Okay, so the shop records, the birth certificate, proof of residency, the notary, and obviously driver's license and things like that, they all have to be in by the end of this month.
No, we would just like them as soon as possible. We need them before school starts.
Okay.
So
what documents definitely have to be in by the end of this month?
As many as you can get to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as many as we can get would be great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Mrs. Thompson or Mrs. Ryerson or me? All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on. So a lot of times we get asked what will happen at kindergarten screening. It's like this great mystery. And I don't think it needs to be a mystery. It's okay to know what's going to be checked at kindergarten screening. And it's not going to determine whether your child can or cannot come to school. The only thing that can determine whether your child can or cannot come to school is their birthday. So if they are not going to be 5 on or before July 31st, they aren't eligible for kindergarten unless they come in as early entrance testing. And that would be gifted testing, and that would be done through the board office, not through here. So kindergarten screening, we're just going to be looking at some very basic things. We're going to be looking at letters and numbers, you know, and it's not going to be all of them. So it'll just be a random sampling. Do you know what these are? To write their name, we're going to be, as they write their name, we're going to want to see, can they spell their name? How are they holding the pencil? So again, we're talking about some of those fine motor skills. And then can they write their name? We will have objects, blocks or something for them to count, bears. We will ask them to orally count to 20 and see how far they can get. Naming colors and shapes. They'll have an opportunity to play and interact with some other children, and how they interact with adults. We'll be looking at those kinds of things. Can they follow directions? Can they, you know, do they respond appropriately to other kids? What does it look like when it comes time they have to share a toy? Do they share? You know, those kinds of things. Cutting paper on a line, sorting objects into appropriate categories, and then being able to rhyme words or identify rhyming words, and beginning sounds. Again, the bear, buh, buh, buh. What other things start with the buh, buh, buh sound? So it's no mystery. We also may have our occupational therapist and our physical therapist who work with our students come and do partake in the screening process. And they'll be asking your children to skip and to run, and it'll be the best part of their whole life. You know, throw this ball, catch this ball, do those things. Pick up these beads with a pair of giant tweezers. So there's a lot of fun activities that your kids will do, and it isn't what you think it looks like. Identifying letters and numbers is a lot more fun with the kindergarten teachers than it would be if I was doing it. So they make it fun and they make it enjoyable for your children. So, your child will also have a speech screening. So, and it is not to say, you know, I take your kids through a long screening. It's going to be a real quick, short, just listening for sounds and errors, and then she'll recheck any children of concern later in the school year. So if she notices there's some articulation errors, maybe your child rounds their R's and says aw instead of R or R at the end of words, she might check in with the teacher, go in quick and do a look at them and hear them talk and see if that's still carrying over. And if it's a concern and impacting their education, then she would probably want to look at them a little closer. So she'll be doing that as well. And the speech the physical therapist and the occupational therapist are doing the exact same thing. So they're just going to be looking for any thing that looks like they might need some practice in something, and then turn around and give them an opportunity to practice it. And then they'll check them again later in the year. So they're just going to be there to kind of get another set of eyes on them. All right. So kindergarten screening dates. Here are your days. So it's the last 4 days of school.
I have a question really quick.
Yes.
So I have a preschooler that attends, and he has speech therapy already. Will that carry over into kindergarten?
It depends. So you will, at the end of the year, they'll have a transition meeting for him.
Okay.
And if they believe that he still needs school age services, then an IEP will be written for him for speech coming into kindergarten.
Okay, because I think he has the IEP. He has an IEP now too as well. So I don't know if that would carry over.
Preschool will not carry over, but they will do a school age transition with him.
Okay.
And so at that time, if not all IEPs that kids have in preschool always carry over into the school age realm. So, because a lot of the IEPs are social emotional, but that is a skill-based IEP. And so it may transition over if he hasn't met his goals.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure. So kindergarten screening dates are the last 4 days of school. That means that our current kindergartners, their last day will be the 27th of May, because it's really hard to teach kindergarten and screen incoming kindergartners at the same time. So the kindergarten teachers will be screening children on Friday, May 28th, Tuesday, June 1st, Wednesday, June 2nd, and Thursday, June 3rd. We don't have times quite set yet because we needed to make sure who all was going to be involved in the screening process before we set our time slots. So we don't want you to think you're going to be here for an hour and then you're here for an hour and a half and you're like, but I have to go to, so let us do some planning and figuring out what that's going to look like. And then when you turn in your registration, we'll get you a slot assigned. And if there's a day that does not work for you, make sure you don't sign up for that day. So any questions? We're almost done. All right, last slide, I do believe. Okay, so our school resource officer, Deputy Lyons, asked me to put in a blurb about Safety Town. It will be June 28th to July 2nd. And through the Miami County Sheriff's Office, our resource officers, law enforcement, fire department, EMS are going to do a Safety Town. And he told me to show the flyer, and I don't see it sitting on my desk. So, and it's hard to miss because it's hot pink, but I just don't see it right now. But the flyer for it is available here in the elementary office. It is for all incoming kindergarten students and any students going into first grade next year. So our current kindergartners and then our incoming kindergartners. They'll be working on different lessons each day: seatbelt safety, car seats, school bus safety, fire safety, stranger danger, gun safety, crossing the street, learning to understand street signs and traffic lights. And the kids will get a bike helmet and some other goodies at the end of Safety Town, and they'll have like a graduation or a promotion. You've graduated from Safety Town on the last day, so July 2nd. So parents will be able to come and watch them. It will be held here at Milton-Union School at the elementary in our gymnasium. And it's free this year. This is the first year it's been free. So they got a grant to take care of that. So if you are interested, you're welcome to pick up a form here in the elementary office. If you have children that go to school here already, you can ask to have it, seesaw message your teacher, and they'll make sure they come down and grab one and stick it in the child's folder. Or you can go and register online at miamicountyohio.gov/sheriff. And if you have missed anything on here and you are worried about it, don't worry, because we're recording it and we will post it online on our website and on Facebook, so you can go back and review anything that you feel like you may have missed. All right, very last slide. Are there any other questions? Anything that's come up that you have thought of as we've gone through this?
Kindergarten full day or half a day?
It is full day.
Monday through Friday? Okay.
5 days a week, full day.
Awesome. Thank you.
What was the start time and the end time of the school day for kindergarten? Because this is my first, so.
Welcome. It is the same for all of our kids. So the start time, we open, well, okay, so I'm assuming next year we'll have breakfast again, but I don't know. But I'm assuming we will. So if we have breakfast offered, and it's not free to everyone, but if you get free lunch, you have free breakfast. If you have reduced lunch, you have reduced breakfast prices, and then full price breakfast and lunch. But 8:30 is when we open the doors for breakfast. But the rest of the students don't come in at 8:30. The rest of the kids come in at 8:40. So if your child doesn't eat breakfast at school, you're welcome to drop them off at 8:40. If they ride the bus, they'll come in on the bus, and then they'll let the breakfast kids off first, and then they'll let the kids who aren't eating breakfast off at 10 minutes later. Late is anytime after 8:55, and we go by our clocks, but our clocks are typically hooked up to whatever's on your phone. So, but if your child comes in at 8:56, they're late. So 8:55 is our start time. We have 3:25 as our end time. We start letting bus riders walk out of the building to get on their buses at around 3:22. 3:20, we bring the kids who are car riders down to the library to be dismissed. And we do have a pretty well-organized car rider line. Once you get the groove of it, piece of cake. It's just getting the groove of it. And then walkers are also dismissed at 3:20 so that they can beat the bus kids out of the back of the building before the bus kids come out and run them over.
Okay. And did you guys have any kind of a latchkey system at all for before and after school?
We do not. We've talked about it. We just don't. I'm sorry. We don't have right now the ability to do that.
Okay. All righty. Thank you.
You're welcome.
When we come in to do our child screenings, will our children and us adults be required to wear a mask?
Yes. Yes.
Are we having to take temps or anything when we get there?
No. We're trusting that you do that. We're trusting you've got that part.
Okay.
You guys have had a lot of good questions.
I have one more question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Me? Okay. Is it normal to be like not ready? Like I'm feeling very overwhelmed. Is there a support group I need to like? She's ready. I'm not.
Kindergarten Parents Anonymous.
For real.
Okay, take a breath.
Okay.
Remember what I said.
I know.
Your child's entrance to kindergarten is not based on what their skill level is. And no, I highly recommend that you don't put any pressure on your kids about screening.
Right.
Tell them you're going to come, you're going to meet some new people, you're going to play with some kids, you're going to play with some games with teachers and blah, 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 and pump it up, woot, woot, kind of stuff. Right. And then you do want to tell them though, that they're going to be going with the teachers, but mommy or daddy or grandma or grandpa, whoever's bringing them, is going to be waiting in the library, and they'll bring you to me when you're done. Okay. And so in the library, then that's when you'll get to go through the swag bag that we've got for you that have all kinds of tools for you to help your kids get ready for school. And we're not asking them to be 100% ready. The independence skills that I talked about, those are the ones that are imperative. I mean, they've got to be able to go to the bathroom on their own. They've got to be able to indicate their wants and needs. They need to be able to share with other kids. So those are the things, if you're going to focus on something and you haven't focused on that yet, that's what I would focus on first. And then start working on some of the school-based skills, and you can make them games. And I'm going to talk to you about how to make them games so that it doesn't feel like they're learning, though they'll be learning. So I will have a ton of gamified ideas for you to use to play with your kids and learn at the same time.
Okay.
Okay. So take a deep breath. You're okay.
Okay. I'm good. I'm good.
You're good. You're good. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, this is Mrs. Kopp. I'm just gonna pop in. I have a feeling there's more moms that are just like you. And we get
Good.
that all the time. And just know that they're gonna have a blast and they're gonna come home and tell you like every day of all the fun, exciting things that are gonna happen. So hi. So just know that you're not the only one that's feeling the same.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions?
I got a question.
Sure.
Did the kindergarten class of this year actually, was it in person all year? Or was there like a hybrid of online or in class?
Okay, so this year we decided, our Board of Education and all of us felt like we needed to be in person. We had, when the pandemic shutdown happened, everybody was out of school for those few months. And it was, well, first of all, it was really hard to engage kids online. It's terribly difficult. And the younger the children are, the harder it is. So it was imperative for our kids to come back in person. And we have been in person since the very first day of school, 5 days a week, all day. There were some parents who opted to do online instruction. And more than half of those have come back to in-person instruction because it wasn't working for their kids. So yeah, we've been in person all year.
What kind of safety, just for new parents coming in or parents that have PLP'd their children all year, are you guys providing for our kids while they're with you? What do their classrooms look like and their desks?
Well, right now we're following still all the COVID protocols. So, so there are barriers. They are plastic shields. There are barriers that are dividing the students. So in the kindergarten classrooms, they have tables and they have barriers set up so that they are partitioned off. The barriers are clear with a white frame on them. And they're trifold, so they fold out. Each night, our custodians fog the room. I guess that's the word you use. Fog the room with antiviral bacterial stuff. I'm going to get it wrong. I think it's 90 days, but maybe not. It might be 40 days. Don't quote me on this. It's been too long since I've had to talk about this, so forgive me. But within, I think it's 90 days. Every 90 days, we use a electrically charged spray, and you've probably heard about it on TV. Everybody's using it now. We were just one of the first ones that were like, yeah, this is good stuff. The science behind it is great. But what it does is we do it quarterly. They go in and they hit the room. So it's really quite a bit under the expected time frame to redo it. But they go into the classrooms and they fog with this stuff. And it actually, the electrostatic charge that it puts doesn't allow the COVID virus to grip. And so it just literally slides off of the surfaces. It makes some unwelcome environment for them and they die. So there's that. And then the masks. The masks have, and Mrs. Thompson can probably talk more about this if you really want more details, but the masks have been the best thing ever. Not only for transmission of COVID, because we haven't had much at all at school, if any. Most of the transmission has happened outside of school. But it's also helped with flu, colds, all the nasty, crummy things that get passed around school, the rotavirus, all the fun stuff. We haven't had much of that this year, which has been incredible. It's absolutely been incredible. So yeah, and we make sure that we remind kids constantly, and our teachers probably say it 50 times a day, mask up over your nose, mask up over your nose. You breathe out of that too. One of our teachers I heard say, oh, how disgusting. I can see your nose. And the kids all cracked up and pulled the mask up. So they don't make it a big deal, but they make sure that we're safe. Kids do have mask breaks. They don't all take mask breaks at the same time. So kids are potted out. So in kindergarten, it might be the blue table, the greens, the reds, and the yellows, and there's one at each table. You know, yellows can have a mask break, and they're like 5 minutes long, and then they put their mask back on, and the next one does. So they have the barriers with them when they're having mask breaks, and it's been good. Any other questions? So if you think of anything, as you are starting through this process, don't hesitate to give us a call, email us. Happy to answer questions. Mrs. Thompson, Mrs. Ryerson, Mrs. McKee, our other secretary, myself. We are happy to help you. If you have questions about medical, though, Mrs. Thompson is the person that you want to talk to. Trust me. If you have questions about registration, that would be the questions for Mrs. Ryerson and Mrs. McKee. And if you have questions about kindergarten screening, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I thank you so much for your time tonight. This went a lot longer than I expected it to, but a lot of good questions were asked and answered. Again, if you missed anything, we will post it on the website and also on Facebook, the recording of it. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to meeting all of your children very, very soon. Again, I'm Loretta Henderson. I'm the principal here at Milton-Union, and the kids call me Principal Henderson because there are two Mrs. Hendersons, and we both start with L. So, so Principal Henderson and Mrs. Henderson. So if you need anything, just reach out. Thanks so much. Have a great evening, and thank you for coming.